Well, we'll get started. I just looking through the people I know. I guess I know quite a few people from here. We've talked multiple times. This is going to be the first webinar we're doing. So it's bear with me if something isn't perfect. So I guess we'll get started. A little bit about me and what is QI and who we are. Essentially, we're a small business. We started about six years ago, and the idea was there were so many products out there, there were so many supplements out there, and we really wanted to be somebody who brings real things, real products, solutions instead of just nutrition supplements or fitness. So we started the company with me, my mom, and my brother. And so it's just the three of us. We do have two people that we did hire over the last year who help with customer service. And most everybody has probably come in contact with either Patricia or G, who are helping us answer phone calls and answer emails and just keep everybody happy. So we are family owned. So out of our team, Brian is one of my close friends who's helping me, trying to help us make sure we can bring value to all of our customers. So we are family owned. We are located in the Seattle area. So we ship things out from Washington State, and we ship out most countries worldwide as well. So what's behind our products was cutting edge anti-aging products from around the world. And we kind of stumbled upon the peptides, which was, we started with them at the very beginning, and it was a brand new product that, wasn't really sold in the US. It was sold via other manufacturers and other suppliers overseas, but these peptide bioregulators were never sold. So we kind of stumbled upon them and started, tried them out and, had amazing results. And a lot of people have had great responses to them. And we just kind of realized that this is the next best thing that we have. So what are these peptides? So these peptide bioregulators, they were designed by a Russian military, research project in the late 70s by a gentleman named Vladimir Kavinson. He's worked on them, since, the 70s and into now. And he's the one who actually came up with the 21 formulations. And he's the one that helps, he's still involved. He's still, doing research, and he's still doing all kinds of different projects with the peptides. So what it does is it's a short chain amino acid, which is similar to your DNA. And what it does is essentially, it's like a key, and it attaches to your DNA, and it unlocks essentially stem cells, activates stem cells. There was a study that said that we have about 70 to 80% of our stem cells when we die are still there, inactivated. So what this does essentially is activates your stem cells to start rebuilding tissues. So peptides are key in rebuilding tissues. Where do they get them from? So this would be another question. They are extracted out of cows. So there's special cows that are used solely for this. They are organic, grass-fed, to the highest standard. And there's apparently, from what I've heard, I haven't seen the process, but it's a pretty extensive process to extract them. And then they extract it out of different parts of the cows, and they extract onto the amino acid chain, and then it just kind of goes and does this magic. There are two kinds of peptides, bioregulators, that come from the same manufacturer or the same factory. There are synthetic peptides and there is natural peptides. So synthetic peptides, they are trying to replicate the sequence and make it into a synthetic version of it so that it's cheaper. So I have tried them, and we have experimented with them with my brother, who's had a pretty big accident, which I'll share in a little later, of kind of his journey with the peptides. We've tried it with him. We tried, running synthetic peptides and natural peptides just because he really needed them, and he really didn't feel that much of a results with the synthetic peptides. And that is the scientific and that to keep people from being having duplicate peptides, we decided that we were just going to stick with the natural ones. And we kind of figured natural is probably a little bit better for you than something that was synthesized in a lab. So there's 21 different peptides. They are designed to treat 21 different glands or organs. And essentially the idea is you take them either one at a time or one peptide at a time, or you take a bundle, depending on obviously how much you want to spend, and you take them as a bundle, and you can target different areas, whether it's your cardiovascular system, digestion, if you're taking it for intense physical activity, or some kind of internal or external adverse effects of radiation, you're trying to bring your body back. There are 5 core peptides, is kind of what I call them. This isn't really official anywhere else, but the core peptides, and these are the peptides that if you're going through a program, are either our program, or we kind of help you put together your own program, or you're kind of just building it by yourself. The 5 core peptides that everybody should probably go through is going to be Pineal, which is essentially your endolutin, and which helps with sleep. So it's production of melatonin, but it also affects a lot of some of your other glands that you have in your brain area. So including balance and other items. Your blood peptide, which goes by Ventfort. And since blood is a delivery method for nutrients and peptides, it's pretty important to have that as one of your major kind of cores. So third one is going to be your Thymus, which goes by Vladonix. And the Vladonix is responsible mostly for your immune system. The pineal and the Thymus together, they work really well to really help boost your immune system. So really, if we go back to the pineal really quick, so why the pineal is so critical is because sleep for people is very, very critical for a human body. And a human body needs to be able to rest in order to repair and fix your, whatever issues you have, and, replenish, hormones, so a lot of people that suffer from sleep issues develop adrenal exhaustion issues, develop, a multitude of other issues. With adrenal issues, you start having kidney issues, then you have bladder issues, and, it just kind of keeps on going. So, pineal is a very critical one. The fourth one on the list is going to be the cartilage peptide. Cartilage peptide is not just for cartilage. It's also for nails, skin, hair. And the one thing that they showed in a couple of studies that they did is the cartilage peptide helps increase your telomere lengths. And go a little bit into background what telomeres are. Telomeres are your chromosomes, or chromosome. You have your chromosomes, and then the tips of your chromosomes you have essentially, if you have your X, the 4 tips are your tails, and they're called the telomeres. So during replication of your DNA, your telomeres start getting frayed at the bottom and start developing errors, and they've attributed that to aging. So the cartilage peptide has shown to actually regrow your telomeres and restore them. So that's one of the big reasons it's so critical, because it actually stops aging. And maybe not fully, but it does help at least slow it down. And then the fifth one is going to be your central nervous system. And your central nervous system is responsible for your brain, and for all of your nerves and your nerve endings, as well as, optic nerve. Central nervous system is critical for sending signals to different part of your organs. So it's one of the main critical ones. So with these 5 core peptides, the pineal, blood, thymus, cartilage, and the central nervous system, you can take them with any peptide. So you can, if you're taking something for your, liver or kidney, you can add in all 5 of these, or any 5 of these peptides, to kind of help work on your core. I'm going to start into common product protocols and what we do with our wellness program, and kind of help people understand what it is and how it helps people. And then I'll come in and I'll help essentially, there's a few people who they want to see actual bundles of how we can, bundle something together to help with a certain symptom or issue. So we talked a little bit about incorporating the core peptides into your regimens. The other thing that I'm going to know that's really critical, and I don't think it gets enough attention, is a detox. So if you look at your body, if you look at it as a wound, right? If you look at your issue that you currently have, but what you have to realize, if your wound is dirty, if you have contaminants in there, it'll grow the tissue, but it may not grow it as well if you detox first. So if you're doing something for your kidneys, go through a kidney detox. Try to clean out your kidneys. We sell a handful of detox. There's a lot of great detox programs, including, juicing and all kinds of really safe, really great programs that are out there. So that's something to consider, is if you go through at least a slight detox, the peptides do work a lot better on a clean system, on a clean, gland, on a clean organ, versus something that has other issues with them. Yeah, so once you go through a good detox, I think the next great step to start is take a look at your core. So instead of our core issue, so if you have kidney problems, it does not necessarily mean that if you take the kidney peptide, it'll solve your kidney problems, because like we talked a little bit earlier, is you have your pineal gland, which is responsible for adrenal, which works really well, on restoring some of your glands. And, you can have an adrenal gland that's not getting replenished because of your lack of sleep, which is causing, because adrenal gland is really close to your kidneys, it has an effect on your kidneys. So it can damage your kidney because the adrenal gland isn't working well. So you can, it's really important to trace everything back and to try to really figure out where this all started, what your core is. So, if you have a simple problem of, you have a pancreas issue and that's really the only issue, you can take a digestive peptide, which I think kind of answers one of the questions on there. So you can take a digestive bundle, which has the pancreas peptide in there, which will help restore your, pancreas related issue or symptom or, disease. For adrenal, which works really well, on restoring some of your glands. And, you can have an adrenal gland that's not getting replenished because of your lack of sleep, which is causing, because adrenal gland is really close to your kidneys, it has an effect on your kidneys. So it can damage your kidney because the adrenal gland isn't working well. So you can, it's really important to trace everything back and to try to really figure out where this all started, what your core is. So, if you have a simple problem of, you have a pancreas issue and that's really the only issue, you can take a digestive peptide, which I think kind of answers one of the questions on there. So you can take a digestive bundle, which has the pancreas peptide in there, which will help restore your, pancreas related issue or symptom or, disease. So that's kind of really interesting, is, if you have high blood pressure, which is one of the most common issues that people have, high blood pressure will not be healed by taking a hard peptide. Since blood pressure is very complex, I have high blood pressure myself, but, I can take all of the hard supplements, I can take magnesium, and I can, take all the, hard peptides. It will not heal, because the stem of my blood pressure is actually adrenaline, which is stress. So for me, I can take an adrenal peptide, which does help reduce stress, but for me, just stopping stressful items or being able to, for stress management, stops my blood pressure. So, my adrenals are fairly healthy. So it's, it's kind of really critical on how you look at your treatment. So when we have, with the wellness program, and I do this, I do calls with people all the time. So if you have any other questions, after this, you can always reach out to me, email, we can set up a phone call, we can walk through things. But one of the things we really, I really look at, I try to address is try to figure out what is on the top of that pyramid, or, what is that one issue that will help your other issues get resolved. And once you hit that top one, then the rest of them become way easier to resolve. So if you're talking about, kidney issue, and you start with your pineal, then you go to your adrenal, then you go to your kidney, that helps address the whole kind of ladder. A little bit about our wellness program. So we have, 2 little wellness programs. We have a 3-month and a 6-month program, and really try to break down the symptoms into what the core issue was or where it started. Just kind of digging through your memory of, well, I was really not getting enough sleep, and then my immune system started, struggling, and then I started getting sick all the time. So going through that little exercise really helps figure out the core. So there's a question, since pigs are closer to the human body than cows, has research been done to extract from pig? Not to my knowledge. I can research that one a little bit more and get back to you. I'll ask the manufacturers if, as an idea. So how to take the peptides. We'll address 2 different scenarios. So we'll look at a 10-day scenario and look at a 30-day scenario. So what is a 10-day scenario? So when you take the peptides come in a box of 20, which is the idea is you take them for 10 days. So because they have 20 capsules, 2 capsules a day is the recommended dosage, and you take them over a period of 10 days. So the 10-day treatment is good for people that, or it's good for systems that you don't have an issue with. If you don't really have any bone marrow issue, but you just want to be sure, you really work on your wellness, you can take a 10-day protocol for your bone marrow just to make sure that the stem cells get activated, they look through, they repair what is needed, and then they go back to how they were. So when you go to a 30-day program, the 30-day program is usually, I recommend a 30-day program if you have an issue, if you have a digestive issue, if you have a heart issue, or digest your heart, respiratory issue. 30-day program is really going to allow an extensive time frame for the stem cells to work and heal. There are recommendations sometimes to go for 60, 90 days if you have a really bad issue, if you have a heart failure, if your heart is, we had a gentleman who, when he started taking the peptides, his heart was about, I think it was 30%, don't quote me on this, but I think it was about 30% functioning. He started taking the peptides, and, over a course of 2 months of taking the peptides, his went up over 50%, with the first course. So when you're in a scenario like that, where you have really, intense issues, so kind of, this is more of an intense plan. So then you would be taking them for longer than 30 days. So with, so some people, when they do have issues that are critical, but not maybe that critical, the best thing that I recommend is breaking up your 30-day treatment. So if you have a real critical issue with your digestion, for example, you want to take your digestion, you take your 30 days, you take a little break, and then you take another 30 days. And why I would recommend it this way, because the most impact you have when taking the peptides is at the very beginning. So if you look at it, a curve, it kind of starts really high, and then it kind of slows down and plateaus a little bit. So if you take it for 60 days, what'll happen is you'll have that curve, and it'll just plateau, or it'll just increase a little bit, but it's not going to be as good as that first kind of, initial impact. So if you have it so if you take that and you separate it into 2 treatments, you have a 30-day, you kind of have that plateau, or you have that bump, and then you kind of starts flattening out a little bit, and then you break it at 30 days. You start again, you may drop a little bit here, but you get to kind of utilize a little bit more of a plateau, or a little bit more of a spike. So you get to use that spike to really get up there. So the way I see it, if you break it up into 2 30-day programs, you gain a little bit more improvements. So if you need to go longer than 30 days. So repeating them. So the recommendation for a maintenance phase is between 3 months to a year. So, and it really, so a lot of things with these peptides, when you take them, you will really, you should be able to feel a difference. And if you don't feel a difference within, the first week, then maybe take a pause and just consider, are you treating the right thing? Is there something else that you could be looking at? And so with a lot of people, dosage is also one thing I wanted to address. The big thing with these peptides is you really got to listen to your body. You really got to see if it's too much for your body or it's not enough. Some people, they take it and just, I feel a little bit, but I don't feel like enough of an improvement. Then they up the dosage to 4 capsules and they say, there we go. That's what it feels like. This is a much better approach, and I can feel things helping out. Where other people say, hey, I've been taking too much, but it feels overloaded, so I'm going to take it down to 1 capsule a day, and go to that pace, and that's perfectly normal. So different bodies are completely different. There's no one right answer for everybody. So just listen to your body and listen to how it responds, and really, if so, in kind of that do you repeat every 3 months? Do you repeat every 6 months? Do you repeat every year? It's really up to your body, and it's really up to you to kind of have that, kind of discovery of, do I do it every 3 or 6 or 12 months? You want to do it at least once every 12 months. So with a maintenance phase, it's only 10 days. So if you've kind of had an issue and you've taken the peptides and your issue went away, you really don't need to take the full 30, 60, 90 days that you took before. You can just take 10 or 20 days, and that should be able to keep your body, keep your stem cells active enough to keep everything working.
Said, taking the heart peptide has helped me stabilize my AFib and strengthen my heart. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
So a quick question is, what peptides would you recommend for a bone density issue?
Cartilage, bone marrow, and Ventfort. Actually, Jones, that's a great point. Parathyroid would actually be a pretty critical one, because that's connects with calcium. So that, the parathyroid would be also a good one that I would recommend. I didn't, doing it on the spot is a little bit harder. So I would probably put the parathyroid in there.
I have the question about, I was recently diagnosed with MS. I was taking 2 a day and had weird symptoms. I went back down to 1 a day and stopped supplements, which helped. I've been feeling good, but not noticeable improvement. I've been off for a week. My next pack just arrived. Do you reckon I wait a full 30 days or is a week enough?
I would give it 1 more week, I think, and then start taking it again. If you want to wait just a week, just take one, or take them for 2 days, 1 to 2 days, and just see if you feel a jump. If you don't, then maybe pause and take them in a week off. So that's how I would do it. How to address building muscle mass. So we do have an intense physical activity bundle pack. It's actually quite popular, but a lot of people get it for building muscle mass, and people that really physically are very active and want to improve their muscle mass building. So I would recommend that peptide pack. But the other couple products that I would put in there is a Stem Cell Works, which really helps activate your stem cells, and it helps with soft tissue repair. So it helps accelerate your soft tissue repair. It helps with DOMS. It helps with just being able to, it increases your cardiac as well. So if you're doing a lot of running, we had actually the same gentleman with the heart, he was at a point where he could only run for about 30 seconds to a minute on a treadmill. And it was just, he couldn't do it. So with Stem Cell Works, after he started taking that, he actually reported that within a week, he started doing 15 minutes on a treadmill continuous. So the couple other products that I just absolutely love, Benadryl. So Benadryl is absolutely my favorite product. It is a oxalic acid, which, break it down. I'm going to do a really quick, I'm going to get a little bit technical, but I want to make sure people who want that technical knowledge get it. So during your Krebs cycle, which is the cycle of where your cells multiply, the body uses this oxalic acid as an ingredient to separate your cells. And your body has oxalic acid as a resource, but this is not a resource that gets replenished. So what happens is, as you get older, your levels of oxalic acid start dropping lower, which actually ends up causing errors in the replication, which can cause aging. So that's kind of what basic Krebs cycle is. So this oxalic acid is a supplement that goes in to help when your cells are multiplying, and it essentially stops errors from happening. So so this is on a technical level. On a personal level, what that does is it gives me an increased energy. It feels like a cup of coffee. So like a good cup of coffee, you just kind of feel energized and you feel awake. It also gives you clarity, and it also gives, I feel like brain power. You just start feeling like your brain is working how it's supposed to be. Oh, and it helps with brain fog and memory as well. And I think let's follow up on the question towards Benadryl. So taking it in the morning with a meal is usually best. And if one doesn't work, you can take two. And the best recommendation for Benadryl is taking it with orange juice or some kind of a vitamin C source. We did just source a new Benadryl, which just has an increased amount of Benadryl. So you may see your packages as a little different. So that one has a little bit more vitamin C in it, and it helps with, it just helps absorb into your body more. So to your question, Terry, on, saying he only took one a day, I would recommend taking it with an orange juice or some kind of citrus or some kind of a vitamin C source. So sometimes when I'm just starting to take it, I'll start with 2 a day for a couple of days, and then I'll just go to 1 a day. So it just, so there's a couple different ways you can do it. I'd like to share a couple stories if everybody's okay with this. I think the people that I've talked to before that are on the call have probably heard this story a couple times. But I'd really like to share a couple stories that I've had. So I had a big accident last year. It was April of last year, so almost 1 year. And what happened is I was sitting in traffic, and I was supposed to have my kid, but I didn't. I was running late, so I told my wife to take the kid to daycare. So I was driving out and sitting in traffic, which, if you're familiar with Seattle area, we have absolute horrendous traffic. I think LA has more manageable traffic than Seattle. But so I'm stopped in standstill traffic, and I'm standing in the fast lane, and I see cars in the carpool just whizzing by, and all of a sudden, one car gets cut off, and the guy hits on the brakes and starts rolling, and he rolled onto my car. And I had a Mini Cooper, which, if anybody knows, it's a very tiny little car, and my car essentially got kicked, and I was like a hockey puck. And what happened is my AC joint got separated. So my collarbone got separated from my joint. And I had to they had to do surgery, and they had to essentially put a fake tendon to pull my joint back. And you can still kind of see I have a little bit of a dislocation. But here's kind of some of the interesting things. Once I got into the car accident, I started taking the Cartilage Peptide. I started taking Stem Cell Works, Brain Cell Works, Blood Peptide, and Pineal, and just really concentrate, and Muscle Peptide as well, and really trying to concentrate on getting this recovered. And over the course of, so I had a surgery about 3 weeks after the car accident, and recovery that I had was pretty incredible. So my surgery was in June. In July, they took off. I had to wear a sling just for everything to heal up. I've had a lot of mental issues, depression and all these other things that kind of really hit me at that point in time. The Benadryl has helped me a lot with the depression and just being able to have energy and be able to continue. But all the other peptides, what happened is I got signed into physical therapy, and they told me that from a typical surgery and from the accident, I am looking 6 months to a year for a recovery, closer to a year. And so if my surgery was in May, I got released 100% in October from my physical therapy. I've only had physical therapy for about 2.5 months because everything just healed so well, and my muscles just, really built everything up, and I had the strength to be able to do it. So that was one of my stories. And the Cartilage Peptide, that was a huge one with the stem cell works and the Benadryl and the Pineal and Vent4. They just really helped put it back together. And then in September, as things happened, my brother fell off of a building. He fell onto his back. He broke 6-7 vertebrae, got fractured. The connecting tissue or the connecting between that was destroyed. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit goosebumps. He broke his pelvis in the front from the fall, and he broke both of his wrists. And he's a dentist, so he was at a point of his life he didn't know if he could ever practice dentistry again. So he's been in surgeries. They had to fuse the spine together, and a lot of life-saving, surgeries that really helped. But the recovery process is really where the peptides really came in and really helped. He was walking in about 3 to 4 weeks. He was up and walking. He wasn't, he had a little bit of muscle dystrophy, but he went through and he started walking, and he started, being more active. And about December, he started going to the gym. So, we did have one complication of an infection here in the last month and a half. He had to actually have his back fusion pulled out and refused again because, he had some kind of an infection in the process. But now he's back at recovering at a phenomenal rate. So it's really incredible. He's back active. He's walking almost normal, and this is an accident in essentially September 30th. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April. So we're talking 7 months for, a really 80%, 85, 90%, recovery. It's pretty incredible. So let's go. There's a question kind of about my accident. So the peptides that I took for my injuries, I took Pineal, I took blood, I took cartilage, and muscle peptide. That was for my accident. For my brother, he had a lot more issues. So he was taking he was taking 4 capsules a day, pretty much nonstop for probably 2 months. And he was taking the blood, he was taking the cartilage, he was taking muscle, Pineal. He developed a little bit of a men's health issue. I'll just go with that. So he started taking some men's health peptides, and and that's pretty much, for those injuries, that's what, I would recommend somebody for kind of a lot more soft tissue. And he did have a bladder issue, during the surgery, after the surgery, and he had an oxygenation issue. So we gave him actually tax arrest, which actually helped him immensely. The tax arrest helped with his ability to oxygenate blood. And the other one we took was the bladder peptide. So because he wasn't emptying his bladder. So they couldn't release him from the hospital until he was emptying his bladder. So we gave him the bladder peptide. So we're doing this in the hospital, which may be frowned upon, but we really wanted to get him healed. And, it's really incredible. I mean, he would have pain. Oh, the big one that helped him was, that I forgot, sorry, Julian, is the central nervous peptide. That one we were taking a lot because it helps with pain. So if you have a pain due to your central nervous system, it really helps. And it's really incredible taking that. The other peptide the other product that I took was PIA, which is an anti-inflammatory and it helps with pain. So the interesting story about that product is I was on the strongest oxy medication they had after my surgery. And I lasted about 48 hours with the medication. And I said, I can't do this anymore. So I switched to PIA, and it wasn't as, it didn't take off the pain as fast as it did, but over the process of about 3 to 4 to 5 days, the pain went away completely. And I was taking 3 capsules a day. So with different meal.
When I got sick and couldn't figure it out, and I actually started taking peptides, when I kept going to the doctor, I kept getting medicines to treat, my digestive symptoms and everything that was going on. But never in the process did I step back and go, oh, okay, what can I do to detox and then work on repairing it? And I think there's a lot of information that happens is we start, we might get subscribed something to treat what's going on, but ultimately that just keeps covering up the real issue at hand that, oh, wow, our organ is not functioning as well, and we need to actually cleanse it and then help it regrow versus try to give it something to function at the level it can. It's really organic, and kind of how I mentally work through this is it's kind of organically solving the problem versus, giving some synthetic to try to build things back up to normal, but it actually masks the underlying problem.
Question about our detox products. So the detox products, let's go. The name of the pain product is going to be PEA. So like a pea, peanut pod. It's PEA. It was a really long, complicated name. What essentially it is, it's an extract out of palm oil. And it's fully organic and it's pure. So our formulation is 100% pure, that has no other additives or no other, nothing else in it. So except for the capsule, which you can open up, everything else is 100% pure, and it's PEA. So going to the suppository products you have for detox. So this one is really interesting. We stumbled upon a gentleman in Oregon who really came up with an amazing way of detox. And these products were a suppository. And the reason they're a suppository, well, some of them are a suppository. There are about 6 or 7 of them that are a suppository. And the suppository product, and he looks at essentially every single stage. So if he's doing a kidney detox, he looks at what is the cost of the best way to, the ingredient that detoxes the liver the most. And he looks at the absorption rate. So if it's a fairly easy to get ingredient that you can take, because you lose quite a bit of the ingredient through your digestion. So, he, like the magnesium and the EDTA suppository, you can absorb so much more of that product through a suppository form versus through a capsule form. And since that product, if you get the really good, really high quality product, it absorbs, you're able to put more of it into into the suppository for a much better absorption. So that's, because it absorbs much better, the great thing is you can buy higher quality product, more expensive ingredients to be able to make a really, really high-end product. So those ones are really great. And there's a magnesium, so there's a heart, liver, there's a lymph system detox. So one of our biggest sellers is Zoibin. So the Zoibin is an anti-parasite detox and a biofilm detox. I've taken it personally. It works amazing. The other one that I've loved that I've taken is Allergica. And it also helps a little bit with parasites and just, so a couple of years ago, we had a skin rash and it was just itching and we didn't know if it was bugs or whatever. And we started taking Allergica for a 30-day program. It was, the whole family, and it went away completely. That was one of my, so I recommend, those two products are really, really great. And it's always good to, go through a detox problem, even though you may not have something. So, especially like the Zoibin and the parasite, it helps restore the flora of your mouth. It helps, kind of fix a lot of your digestion issues by just, making sure that the flora of the power flora is attained. The COQ10 product. So is the next question we have. So we have an American company that we get this from. It's a high quality. It's a high quality COQ10. It's manufactured, I think, in Illinois. So it's as good as most other COQ10. I'm not gonna say it's anything special. It's not. It's just, it's a really good ingredient, high quality ingredients. But it is, COQ10, which you can buy elsewhere. But I'd like it if you buy ours. But so it's, it's a good, good one for skin, nails, anti-aging. So heart is, it's really good in that as well. Next question we have.
Oh, is the 3 max amount of peptides to take at once? So let's say peptides now for brain, eyes, and heart.
Let me go really back. There's a question on the name of the last product. So the last product is Zoibin, Zoiden. That's the parasitic one. And the Allergica, Ellagica. And that's the one I took for kind of skin issues we had for, I think it was some kind of parasitic issue. I don't know, but it went away. So those are the 2 products we just talked about last. So to Danny's question on 3, so to take out once, 5 peptides is the most that you would take out once. This actually brings up a really critical point. Thanks for bringing this up, Danny. When you're taking a bundle or when you're creating your own bundle, make sure you're concentrating on one area at a time. So you don't want to be taking eyes and liver and kidneys and adrenal at the same time, because it doesn't work as well. And you don't want to be mixing those because they will create a little bit of conflict. So people have had some, they just start feeling weird when they start mixing too many. So if you have, for example, so with an example that Danny brought up is brain, eyes, and heart. So I would probably either do the eyes or the heart personally. Just, because brain and eyes are good, brain and health is good. So, you can do, if you're doing eyes, it'll be brain, eyes, and central nervous system is going to be good. So then you can take a heart and blood together. That'll be a good second peptide. You don't have to wait. So once you're done with a peptide bundle, you can start on the next one. The other thing I want to make sure I forgot to mention is a lot of these peptide bundles, they have duplicating peptides. So, and it's going to be the 5 core peptides that I mentioned, the pineal, blood, thymus, central nervous system, and cartilage. Those are going to be repeated in a lot of bundles. So if you go through a bundle that already had a central nervous system, if you go through your full 30 days and you had your central nervous system, you don't need to take it again. So you can put together your own custom bundle of, take that peptide out and maybe put another core one in if you want, or just take the 2 or the 1 or, the 3 without those repetitive peptides. So that's a really common question that comes up. So, and in your question, once you finish with the current bundle, the day you finish, the next day you can start taking, digestion peptide. So, and then, I mean, yes, you can alternate them. So if you want to start one, do one for 10 days and do another for 10 days and just jump back and forth, that's also perfectly fine. So should all peptides be taken with citrus or vitamin C? No. So the peptides don't need to be taken with citrus or vitamin C. The product that I was talking about for the vitamin C is Benadryl. So that one is, it's better to take with citrus. The peptides should be taken with a meal. So you take them with food because it's a bovine extract, so it does come out of cows. So it's, it's best to have your digestion system already working when it's digesting those peptides for maximum effect. So you can separate, the different peptides through, with different meals. So if you're taking maybe a little bit of a separate, like brain, eyes, and heart, you can take brain and eyes in the morning and take your heart peptide in the afternoon, and that should be fine. So you can kind of bundle up a couple peptides, but I would just, advise caution, just, watch out, make sure if something doesn't feel right, don't take too many. Issue holding urine, peptide bundle. So that one I would recommend. So if it's for males, I would be considering prostate peptide and the bladder peptide. If it's, not a prostate issue, then I would recommend just the bladder peptide. So that has worked really great with my brother. So for pancreatic issues, a detox for pancreatic issues. Let me get back on that one as well. I don't have the detox ones memorized as well as good as I do the peptide bundles. So the detox one's a little harder. But the one I probably would recommend is like the Zoibin, the biofilm detox. So because that does help a little bit with your digestion. So let me, quick message, I guess. Just wanted to say, the first day I took Sarluden, I had a 60% reduction of symptoms on my right side, and I've been able to go off my mood aid, and my mind is so clear and I'm good. Great product. I'm going for more. Thank you, Danny. Had a friend of mine who broke out into hives when taking the Cartilage Peptide. Just wondered why. That's an interesting one. I don't know. Let me ask. We haven't really had any issues like that before, so I will ask that, and I'll make sure we get you an answer. The only thing it could be an allergy reaction, so that's the only kind of effect that we can have. So next question is suggestion for hyperthyroidism, please. That one, if you take the thyroid bundle, which is the thyroid peptide and I think it's only the thyroid and the blood peptides together. That's a good one. You can take just the thyroid peptide by itself as well. So that's what I would recommend for hyperthyroidism. And it's not just hyper, it's both of them. So if you have any issues with thyroid, you can take the thyroid peptide for that. Autoimmune thyroid is going to be another one that kind of, I think, piggybacks off of this one. So with the autoimmune thyroid, the only thing I would probably add into that is maybe throw in a Thymus, because that really helps with the immune system. So it may be a good bundle to take together. Do you take two peptides together, or one in the morning and one in the evening? If they're related, if it's, any one of the core peptides and another peptide, or if they're related, if you're doing a digestive bundle or if you're doing a bundle, you can take them all together in the meal in the morning. So some people like breaking them up. That's perfectly fine as well. So, but you can take them in the, all at once in the morning. If you're taking something that is a little different, which is not super recommended, but if that's what you are, then I would take one in the morning and one in the afternoon or in the evening. So So next question, as you work on specific issues with clients, can you post the bundles you suggest for them so that others can gain the knowledge and you'll not have to repeat with the other clients? Sort of a database with suggested bundles for issues with clients. A lot of the people that we work with is majority of the bundles are already created. So a lot of those bundles that have created, those are good, safe bundles that have been tested, have been worked together. So most, I think let's say out of 20 bundles that we've put together, maybe 1 or 2 are deviate from, the main 11 bundles that we've put together. So there is a little bit of data that I can put this together. So, and where we're going with our wellness program is I'm really trying to build something where it can be a tool for people to go in and figure it out, and even help kind of really do a lot of the heavy legwork of getting the data in there of this is the issue that you have, this is the bundle that we would recommend. So that's what we're really working towards, and hopefully we'll have some kind of an app or a tool, so I'm still going to be always available for talks or consultations or questions. But I think this will really kind of help streamline, and we don't have to repeat things a lot of times. So yes, we will work on that, Susan. Bundle another one, ankle swelling. So for swelling, I would recommend the PA, the PA product that I recommended for pain. If it's just the swelling, that's all I would recommend. If you have potential tissue damage of, ligament, muscle, I would recommend probably like Cartilage Peptide. The other product I would probably recommend is Stem Cell Works. That's very good for soft tissue issues, for swelling and things. So I would probably recommend the easier one would be the Stem Cell Works with PEA. So, and that should be able to help with swelling, fluid issue. Yeah, the Stem Cell Works should really help on that. Then, if it's a fluid issue, it could the Stem Cell Works should be able to have a pretty big impact on being able to help that clear. So, so it's Stem Cell Works. It's an oral spray. It's on the bottle. It's recommended 7 sprays. What I've heard and experienced is going up to 10 sprays is a little better. So you do 10 sprays twice a day, once in the morning before food, and once in the afternoon before food. And you spray it in your mouth. You hold it in your mouth for about 30 seconds. And then I like to wash it down because it's not the best tasting thing. I like to wash it down with water is perfectly fine, but whatever else you have works as well. And I would do that. I would take the Stem Cell Works for 30 days, if you have a twisted ankle. And I would probably do it, 20, 30 minutes before food is fine. So it doesn't have to be, a lot. It helps with absorption. So the big recommendation is before food, your body absorbs things better if it's intraoral, so through your mouth, through your nose, so it absorbs better into your bloodstream if it's not taken with food. So I've taken it 10, 15 minutes before food, and that's fine as well. The question, I guess, on the twisted ankle, it may be a kidney or other reason for swelling. Do not know. That's a tough one because I think it's going to be really critical to figure out the core of it. But with the ankle, if it's a kidney issue, I think Stem Cell Works would still be really good because it's really good for those soft tissue and muscle and fluid retention, all of that. But if it's going to be hard to kind of say. But if it is from a kidney, there is a whole kind of it's really kind of going to be hard because you have to really kind of figure out what the core issue of it is. because kidneys could be adrenal, kidneys could be, could all stem up back to your sleep, being able to get sleep. I would probably recommend maybe if you think it's not just a blood or just a soft tissue type of issue, I would maybe try a couple, 10 packs and just kind of see if any of this helps. So maybe actually acupuncture, I've heard, helps really well with that kind of things as well. So and Jolene commented also, it could be a lymph or a kidney issue as well with ankles. So yeah, so we can get on a, so if we want, we can, I'm always available for a one-on-one. So you can always shoot me an email. You can always reply to the emails that we send out. It'll go right to my inbox, and you can, we can set up a quick call, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever we need. And we can kind of help, talk through this, because some of this gets a little bit complicated because you really got to talk through it and kind of understand it. So let's keep going. There's a couple more questions that just popped up. So from Jolene, I want to thank you all for your support. I'm having great success with the blood and heart peptide. I can walk for distances, which has not happened before. Where do we post testimonies? Great question. We would love testimonies. You can always post reviews of the products on the actual products. The best thing that if you guys really can, if it's possible for you guys, a video testimony is the best thing for us. If you want to record a quick 30-second video of just what product you took, how it helped, what you love about us, what you don't love about us, whatever, and videos are those are kind of the best things that, if you can do that, that would be amazing. If not, that's okay, but you can post a review on, all the products you take. There's always a place where you can add a review in there as well. So being on a thyroid medication from my doctor, did you continue taking thyroid meds while doing the peptides? Yes. So do not stop any medication without consultation of your doctor. So I would still take the best thing that you can do is have the doctor administer a test of how you are. Start taking the peptides. 30 days later, go see your doctor. 40 days later, go see your doctor and see if it's improved, and have them adjust your medication if needed, or have them taken off your medication. But I wouldn't stop any medication unless you consult a doctor. How many days in the peptides would be, so if you have an issue, right, if you have hyperthyroidism, 30 days is what I would recommend, and maybe follow up with another 30 days after a 30-day break. Question came up, maybe you can start a blog so those of us with some background in the body can add our knowledge. That is a great, so we've actually, me and Brian we've started actually a Facebook group where we were thinking of just getting everybody just come in and just share. And, if somebody has a certain issue, for example, with ankle swelling, right? And it could be so many things, and people can come in and say, hey, I had a similar issue. This is what helped. This is what things I had. And we can kind of just share knowledge. And, that's kind of, I think the best thing that we can do is just help each other. So if you guys are interested in, actually what we'll do, Brian, we'll send you, after this call, we'll send an invite to the group, and you guys can all join if you want. If you don't, that's okay. So Telegram, that's a great idea. We'll do both. We'll do a Facebook and Telegram, and whoever wants to go on which, and I'll try to share the information between both of them. But yeah, we can. Those are great ideas. Great question from Sue. Injectable peptides and the ones we sell. So all the peptides come in an injection form. We are trying not to bring in the Russian peptides as an injection for this big reason of when it's an injectable peptide, it's automatically considered a drug or a medicine. So, and legally we can't sell that. I mean, we can go and make, this is not for human consumption, disclaimers on our website, but to be fully compliant, we cannot sell injectables, anything injectable, because those are required, in United States, they're required to be administered by a doctor. So any injection has to be administered by a doctor. I mean, there are obviously a little bit of an exception, but general rule is that's so. There are, there's that, BPC, and there's a number of other injectable peptides that do work. They do work. The difference is they are synthetically formulated. So they are manufactured in a lab. Ours are extracted out of bovine. And while they do work, they do work great. But you do have an additional cost of having to do it at a doctor, or you run the risk of injecting it yourself, which I wouldn't recommend because, and unless you're, certified or, whatever, that's your call. But I wouldn't recommend injecting peptides just because, there's an inherent risk of doing that. So the peptides that we take, they do work well, and they have a lot of medical research, 30 plus years of studies, of medical studies and published in journals that you can look at. So a lot of the new peptides, the injected peptides, they're fairly newly formed. Probably in the last 5 to 10 years, most of these peptides came up with. So where, these peptides have been established, since late 70s, and there's, a couple hundred of different articles and medical research journals that are done on it. Difference between nature peptides and the individually named peptides. So that's an amazing question, Joel, and thank you. The difference is packaging. So there are a number of people that sell the individually named peptides that are not real. There are a couple of them on Amazon. There are a couple of them just in different areas, and so the manufacturer, in order to protect the doctors, because doctors are going to be the biggest people behind these peptides, because there is, we have dozens of doctors that actually use these peptides to heal people. They actually use this as part of a treatment process, and they'd like to be able to sell them, but when there is fake products out there, that's tarnishing the name, and it's making the doctors not be very, they lose a lot of patient trust. So with the Nature's Marvels, where it's created, essentially it's the doctor brand. It's the peptides that doctors recommend in their office. They are compliant with FDA labeling restrictions, where the Russian peptides are kind of questionable. And I don't know if people who have tried the peptides, the biggest thing that drives me bonkers is there's no expiration date on the individual peptides. It's the manufacturing date that's shown on there. And if you read through the text, it'll say good for 5 years. So where the Nature's Marvels have an actual official creation date and an official expiration date, which, just to be in compliance, it has the ingredients, it has everything listed out like it's supposed to. And they're also tested and logged a lot better than the Russian peptides in order to comply with, practices. If you get a bad batch, if there is some kind of a contaminant in it, they do a little bit of testing. The manufacturing is exactly the same. They're being manufactured the same thing. It's the same exact product, just different packaging and different testing protocols. So those are the difference. They are also registered in third place databases. So where you can, they're registered in in European and United States registers. So you're able to, so that has a little bit more authenticity to them, where the Russians were in a little bit more wild west, a little bit. So on the regulations and registration aspects, but they're manufactured exactly the same as the same product. Just one's got a little bit more checks and balances done. So, well, perfect. Thank you guys. Thanks everybody for joining. If you guys have any questions, I'm open. My email is open. I'm available. So nice seeing everybody, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys. Everybody had a great weekend.
Anything else, Vlad? Are you ready to?
I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your weekend.